Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. You have to understand the Samanya Dharma, and it's in it for you to get your life together. Because life doesn't spare anyone. If someone says, oh, my life's not working out, then it's not like life is going to save you. You need to save yourself. And this is how it is. You see, the laws are impartial. It really just means that, if one is a saint and they have a 200-year-old vase that really matters to them, it embodies the wisdom, this vase. It's a very special vase. It's passed on lineage to lineage. It's my vase. And I drop the vase. Okay? Is the laws going to suspend gravity for the saint? No. So equally, when the saint drops the vase and when a thief drops the vase, the laws work impartially. They work on both. They don't spare the saint just because he saved so many lives. So this means that when you start to think like this, you recognize that your life is not random. It's completely your own doing, a collective doing of small micro actions that have caused you to be in the place that you are today. So this makes you a lot more discerning and responsible and mindful that your actions, though seemingly insignificant when you isolate them, but when you stack them all together, huge impact. It's just that we don't see that huge impact because life unfolds, kind of drip feeds itself a little by little. And you go, I can handle this, but it all kind of, has a reason for, occurring in your life. So this means recognizing this, you start to take responsibility and you start to say, the Lord is like that petrol in the car. I get into the car and by my own discernment, I drive the car according to my discretion and I arrive to the temple and I meet the Guru. Or I can drive that body of mind, that God-given body of mine, irresponsibly, and I will get exactly what and according to my daily inputs. And so this is how it is. It's not personal. No one's being punished for a reason, or you're not being disliked or liked by the Lord. The Lord doesn't say, oh, I don't like her today. I'm going to just jolt her, with some pain. I kind of like him. I kind of like her. I'm going to randomly award, her, some moksha today. It doesn't happen like that. It's entirely you are the author of your own actions. Being the author of your own actions, Ishvara just says, yes. Yes, my dear, you're aligned to my laws, Samanya Dharma. You're doing according to my setup. I, as the Lord of the universe, have set this universe up like a computer game designer. What does a computer game designer do? They designed a game. And every single character, every single tree, every single mountain, every single law in that computer game has been well thought through by the computer designer. And you, as the character in that game, what do? You have no choice but to pass levels. And how do you pass levels in the game? By abiding to a certain order that lets you score points. We call that punyam points. And when you do the wrong thing in the game, because the game is already designed and well thought through, if the character misbehaves, if the character does something that is not to the well-being of other characters, then there's a certain consequence system. And this consequence system is called feedback. And this feedback is working for everyone every single moment of your life. So your life is just a reflection of how well you're in tune with the feedback of the designer of this entire show. And so being more sensitive, making my mind more available to the rules and the laws pertinent throughout this game, you're able to say no. I know exactly what's going to happen if I continue 2 steps more. It's not going to be a good result. And for that reason alone, knowing the consequences, I choose to say no. Though it is tempting, I also know that the consequences are way more for me to bear, and it's not worth it. So being aware of the designer's laws, which are completely impersonal and impartial and do not target you specifically, they have to simply operate for the well-being of everyone. If the laws stopped working for one single day, all of us would just not be able to get along at all. You wouldn't be able to go out of the house. You'll be afraid, oh, dharma's gone. Now no one's got any sort of remorse causing injury onto you. You'll be afraid. But because the laws are there, it allows you to move step by step by step by step and recognize the whole thing, the whole game is indeed a design, a beautiful design, neither for me nor against me. It's neither for nor against you. It's just a design. And by recognizing, taking my Chudamani Viveka, my most excellent Viveka, recognizing what kind of consequences are my actions, my words, my movements creating on a daily basis, noting that down, reflecting upon my life today, looking at my notes, what kind of a life am I doing on a daily basis, making that cause-effect relationship and saying, there are a few things that need to change. Remember that chart? Why do we not change? Because we don't connect the causes and the effects. So we don't know what to change. What is there to change? There's no pain. But when you start to see, wait, my actions or the results that I'm experiencing today are a consequence of those actions, and the results I'm not enjoying today. I'm not enjoying the results that I'm getting. Therefore, let me modify those causes. Let me make a change, because if I don't make a change, what's going to happen? Same results. And that is not a good experience to live. Therefore, one gets really in touch of this cause and effect relationship, how they're connected, and through that, you can make a nice, smooth, progression in your life. Because who wants to suffer? Nobody wants to suffer. But the person, strangely, puts up with suffering. Why? Because they miss the feedback system. They don't recognize the feedback system is always talking to you. We often say, God, talk to me. Talk to me, God. He's talking to you every single minute, every single second. What am I perceiving right now? Am I judging myself? Am I judging the world? And when I judge myself or the world, what happens in my buddhi? What happens in my emotional complexion? I don't feel well. And that you cannot deny. That's Ishvara's system saying, no. You have misaligned yourself with my design. I didn't design this game to look at other characters and to diminish them in your mind. I didn't do that. And so when I do diminish other characters, the automatic feedback system comes online and says, you see that feeling? That's not an accident. That's me talking to you saying, adjust your course of action. And so through a constant refinement of actions, slowly, you can improve the quality of your experience on a day-to-day basis. It's that simple. No one's holding us back. There's no out there world government. Government is because of the country, because of the nation. Hey, look at this. Even if you're born in a polluted nation, suppose, high kind of pollution, you got two choices, either complain or do something about it. It's that simple. What can I do to minimize the amount of pollution that enters into my lungs? It's that simple. And that requires some discretion, some initiative. So this is Samanya Dharma, always talking to you. Now the verse continues and says, despite artha and kama and dharma, which are essential in life, despite all of them, they do not provide moksha. They do not give moksha. And the verse then says, through all this, moksha is not accomplished. Though they are crucial, moksha is not accomplished through these three pursuits. So now, what does it mean to say accomplish moksha? Accomplish moksha, like I gained moksha, I accomplished moksha. And in Advaita Vedanta, by the way, we don't have this whole thing, oh, you cannot accomplish moksha, you already accomplished, you do not attain enlightenment. This is not what Advaita Vedanta says. This is a different kind of school. Simple. Accomplish just means in reference to my work, I've removed ignorance. Ignorance of my nature. In that sense, I accomplished. So what does it mean to say, I accomplish moksha? I've gained moksha. I have moksha. These are all just grammar words. It doesn't matter.
Find liberation.
Yeah, I have same thing. You can just replace. I have liberation. I've got liberation. I'm liberated. I'm enlightened. What does it mean to say that? You have to ask yourself, who is liberated? What is liberated?
There is no I anymore.
You know, there is an I. You know, it's ahamkara still has to function, but your identity is no longer in the ahamkara. Sure. There's a certain knowledge about something that you missed out. There was something there all along that I missed out. Something that's constant, that I could never negate. It was uninterrupted, unbroken, and unceasing. We call this alupta drik. Alupta drik. Drik is a seer. What kind of a seer? It's an alupta seer. Uninterrupted, unbroken, non-negatable witness. There's something that's constantly there. I cannot quite make it out. But if I could, it would be constant. It would be in every single experience. In the most spectacular and the most boring experience, it will be equally there. It would never waver. It would never change. It would never modify. It would always be the silent background. Something that always recognizes, in the presence of which every experience is recognized. Something that just quietly says, it is so. It is so. Then the mind says, I don't know you. It is so. I know you. It is so. Oh God, what do I do? It is so. I'm feeling bad today. It is so. I'm feeling small today. It is so. I'm feeling superior. It is so. It just remains as a constant, ever-present awareness through and through every single experience, no matter how spectacular or how mediocre it is so. I am here. I am here. Oh, where are you? Let me seek for you inside. I am here. Oh, I had you yesterday. Now I lost you. I am here. It's like, what are you? What are you? I am here. In the presence of whom you're asking that question. I think I got you today. Today I'm really clear. I am here. In the presence of whom you just said that statement. I am here. And you're like, oh, I don't know what you are. I'm so confused. I am here. He has no other words. I am here. And you're like, you don't exist. I am here. There's no such thing as this thing of awareness. I am here. It is so. And like 1 year later, you like went to all these gurus and had all these conversations. And like, Guru, I'm not getting this. And in the background, I am here. I have not left. I always am with you. I am you. Like, who are you? Let me deep dive somewhere inside. Let me look for you. I am here, in the presence of whom that statement was made. And you're like, oh my God, this is so repetitive. I am still here, in the presence of whom that statement was also made. And then you're like, okay, I need a teacher. I am still here. And when you get the teacher, and the teacher points out what this presence is, this alupta drik, uninterrupted, unbroken, non-negatable seer witness, then you go, oh, I knew about it all along. But then why was I superimposing so many ideas onto it? Why was I making it something that it's not? And then the Guru says to you, that's the journey. That's the whole journey. Your mind was just adding so much rubbish onto this ever-present alupta drik that you just kept on mixing it up. Kept on mixing it up with feelings and ideas and thoughts and concepts. And the mind kept on adding ideas onto it. And you go, wow, so that's the journey. I had it all along. I had it all along. Now I know what it is. And the Guru says, yeah. And nothing special about it. And then the next student comes. Same story. See? So this is alupta drik. And therefore, knowing this, aluk-tadrik, all cessation, the cessation of this looking and this desire to know it, it ceases completely. What is there to see now? It is that which is always the seer. There's no seer behind it. It is the seer that it's always there, in the presence of whom everything else is seen. And thus the cessation ends completely, and you have no more questions. And we call this aparoksha anubhuti. I now have direct experience as it right now, not as another thing added onto me, but direct knowledge, direct experience, aparoksha anubhuti, of that which has been, quote, saying, I am here all along. And so you recognize that it was not a trance, it was not a state, it was not a state of mind, it was not some special state, it was that which was in all states, all the time. It was the most ever available, ever present truth, ever present reality in every single experience. And I missed it. How could have I missed it? And then the Guru says to you, it's very simple, you see? Imagine you had your glasses on your head. And for beginningless time, you always felt something on your head. But you were looking for your glasses. And the more you look for your glasses, ironically, the farther away you were from your glasses, even though you were not far away from your glasses at all. And people are saying, it's on your head. Wait, no, I don't believe it. It has to be something more. No, it's on your head. Do you feel that, that sensation? It's like touching your ears. Yeah, and then you mix in things. You imagine, so it's touching my ears. You're imagining your ears, and it's touching your ears. And then one day, someone points, finally, these glasses to you, and you see the glasses, you feel them, and go, so look at this. That sensation that I've always had on my head, between my ears, that's it? That's glasses? That's the final reality? Yes. So it's not like you gained something new. You just recognize that which you were in touch with all the time. That was it. But there was something about the mind that kept on adding some special stories, how it's got to be something else. And when you recognize you haven't gained something new, you just come to see, that which I was always in touch with, even while searching, that was it. Or somebody says to you, you know what, you two have a face. Suppose we live in a special world and only the privileged have mirrors. You don't have a mirror, so you never saw your face before. Suppose only the rishis have a mirror. And they say to you, you two have a face. You have a face. You say, I don't have a face. I don't see a face. I don't have a face. And the rishis keep on saying to you, you have a face. We have a face. You have a face. I don't have a face. You guys have a face. Because I've never seen my face. Therefore, I don't have a face. I can't see it. And then the rishis offer to you a special mirror. A mirror called the Viveka Chudamani mirror. And they show you this mirror, and you see your face. And you go, so I too have a face. Have you gained something new in that moment? You've just removed an idea that made you think, that made you disturbed, that made you move from place to place, disturbed by the fact that you didn't have a face. When you finally see you have a face, do you need to see your face again? No, because you removed the doubt that was making you disturbed, thinking you didn't have a face. So as having seen your face, you haven't gained anything new. You just recognize, so the face that I had, nothing changed. There was no new experience added. I just come to see that which I was told about, I already am, I already have. And thus, this is the moksha is not accomplished by these three pursuits. For this, you need something else. And this is Purification of the mind, verse 5. That's where we start. Purification of the mind, karma yoga. Chittasya shuddhaye, karma natu vastu upalabdhaye, vastu siddhi vicharena na kinchit karma koti bhi. Action is for purification of the mind, not for gaining the truth. Knowledge of the truth is by inquiry alone. Not even a little knowledge is gained by crores of action. So action is for purification of the mind. Chittasya shuddhaye karma. The question comes now, what is purification of the mind? Something that we talk about often in Vedanta. Antakarana shuddhi. Like when you just get to the bottom of it. Like I want a pure mind. Why do you need a pure mind? To recognize your true self. What does it mean to say I have a pure mind? What's an impure mind? What's the defining trait of an impure mind?
Constantly distracted.
Constant distraction. Okay. Give me a quality of an impure mind. Doubting. Okay. Confused, doubting. So it's a product of
Fear.
It's scared, it's worried, it's anxious, it's worn out, it's needy. It's needy, it needs reassurance that my existence matters. Diluted, no focus, scattered. Yeah, it's jealous, for example. It's a good one. So look at this. What is a good quality of a mind? Suppose I see you happy and I'm jealous. It's common. You're happy, but I'm jealous. Is that a pure mind? No. What's a pure mind? You're happy. Innocently. I'm not trying to be happy. It makes me happy too. That's a pure mind. So this means you have to clean up some things in my mind that's making me respond differently than how a healthy mind responds. And thus, the essence of a pure mind is neutralizing these biases that make me act contrary to how the natural state of affairs is. The natural state of affairs is, I am happy when you're happy. When you're sad, I'm not going, I'm in such a better place. You're sad. During COVID, there was a grandmother who, she always stayed at house. And now that everyone else was locked up in the house, the grandmother was asked, what do you think about all this? She was very happy. Why are you happy? Well, because everyone else is in the house, now I feel much better about myself. That's not healthy. Using other people's downfalls as my own happiness, that cannot be healthy. Therefore, what does it mean to have, important question, what does it mean to have a pure mind? This is the essence of all yoga, of Yoga Shastra, of Bhagavad Gita, a pure mind. It's neutralizing those I want. This should happen. This shouldn't happen. Rules. It should look like this. It shouldn't be like that. It's neutralizing those likes and dislikes. Likes and dislikes that always want you to be treated in a certain way, that people have to speak to you in a certain way, that things in the world have to happen in a certain way and not happen in a certain country, in my family, that people have to sort of get an education. Go get an education. I can't be happy without your education. All these rules that we set up for ourselves, how can one be possibly free to even contemplate on this? Where's my mind? And look at this. If you're carrying so many biases, what does that mean? I am against you. Because my right, my peace, my happiness, my life, that implies what? Me, individual. So not only are you solidifying through likes and dislikes what should happen and what shouldn't, not only are you solidifying the individuality, but also, if there are so many rules, When does the world in real life ever accommodate your rules? Never. Literally never. So this means since the world never accommodates my likes and dislikes, and I want the world to accommodate my likes and dislikes, and it doesn't, this means the environment I'm in, I reject. The gurus I'm with, I reject. The teachings I'm with, I reject. And then on top of that, you have, oh, I want this to be about feeling because I have biases. If there's no feeling about this, I'm going to reject it. And yet the truth, the pramana, has nothing to do with feeling because feelings come and go. So if there's a bias that this should be about an experience, a feeling, what's going to happen? I will reject it. So all these likes and dislikes set up a condition that's not possible to penetrate. And then we wonder, why can I not change? Because of my likes and dislikes. And so I'm going to give us now 4 methods how to purify this mind. Why are we doing this? Because we need a clear mind, a relatively clear mind, to recognize the fullness of part 2 of this course, which is self-knowledge. And so the first one is, what does your life consist of? It consists of 2 things. 1, giving. Isn't it true? You're always giving. And 2, receiving. So let's talk about what everyone goes through. How do I turn giving into a spiritual practice? Because even to talk to another person, you're giving your time. To cook food for someone, you're giving your love. To work for someone, you're giving your time and energy. To participate, you're giving again yourself, your vulnerability, your emotions. So you're always giving. So let's ask this: how do I then convert something that I'm always doing into the greatest spiritual practice ever? So that every giving, I'm not only giving as usual, but it has a double benefit. It helps me to purify my mind. That would be brilliant, right? So the first method is called Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. So this is religious language. This is having a certain kind of a buddhi, a mind, that has a certain attitude towards giving. And what kind of an attitude is that? It is now that no longer am I just giving to get something back from me. Rather, I am giving to what kind of impacts is my giving having? What kind of an impact is my giving having in this world? You know, when I give some money to the shopkeeper, it's no longer, hey, here's the money, thank you for my food. Right there, there's your chance for spiritual practice. I'm giving to a larger order because everything is within this grand order. No one's outside the order. There's no person that is sort of outside the rules of the game. Every character is within the game. So whenever you give, it's no longer just, oh, give, here's some money, thank you for my product. I'm giving to whom? I'm giving to the total. I'm giving to the whole. So what does this do to your mind? It helps you recognize that there is a much larger vision here than just this person in front of me to whom I'm giving. It trains your mind that there's a much larger vision here. And this is what a wise person is. Their vision is wide. An unwise person's vision is narrow. So how do you expand your vision? Very simple. From now on, whenever one has a chance, not that you're going to do it every moment, whenever there's a chance, I'm giving. Let me think for a moment. I'm giving to Ishvara. I'm giving to the Lord. Because there is only one Lord manifesting as this world. So I'm giving back to a vast network of causes. Not just to one person. It makes you think about the whole. And this makes your mind much more expanded. Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. That means no longer am I just a little individual giving. But no longer am I a taker. Who am I? A contributor. Look at anything in this world. Any flower. How does a flower give? Does a flower have any agenda? No. It innocently gives. And it gives its fullest. Why? Because it recognizes it is not apart from the order. It recognizes my nature is to give. That's my nature. It's only when the ego comes in and says, no, I'm not going to give, or I will only give if I receive something. But whenever you give, because you can give, it loosens up this little, I want to hold on. This is why Dhanam, charity, is so powerful. Because the one thing that we really hold on to is money. My time, my investments. And so when we're able to give a little bit, our time for somebody's betterment, offer them a conversation or anything, you loosen this little person who wants to protect themselves for their own sort of, their own time and their own energy. And that goes a long way to loosen this little me that wants to hold on. This is the first one. Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. The attitude of giving. How do I give? Changing my attitude towards giving. And the second is Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. Okay. So this is, if one's the attitude of giving, this is the attitude of receiving. And Krishna calls this Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. I like Krishna's words here. So he says, what does it mean to receive and have an equanimous mind? Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Look at this. What would allow you to have an equanimous mind without faking it? A relatively composed mind when you receive those results that are sort of, a little bit shaky. They're not entirely pleasant. What would allow you to have a relatively composed mind and still be able to act with discernment without losing yourself? What do you think it is? What kind of a mind would you have that when something in life hits that's unpleasant, you don't freak out. You still remain relatively composed and you're able to say, okay, what's the solution here? What's the solution mode? Instead of freaking out. What would allow you to do that? How would you have to think about the results? And how would you have to perceive those results to have that equanimous mind? Taking it like it is. You could be optimistic, sure, if that works. There's no right or wrong answer. I've got a, unpleasant gift. Suppose someone for Christmas or some holiday gives you, bird poop. Okay? That's a gift. What would allow you to not take it so seriously?
Neutral. Humorous.
Humorous. Okay, you can sort of take it neutral. What would make you take it neutral? What allows you to take it neutral, no matter how random the result is, even if it's not from someone that was clearly going to prank you?
Not expecting anything too major in the first place.
And why would you not expect something specific to occur?
Not the conception of good or bad, right or wrong.
Okay, there needs to be some concept of good or bad, right or wrong, okay?
Don't take it personal.
Okay, but what would not allow you, why would you not take it personal? What allows you to not take it so personal?
No ego.
It's the consequence of my own karma.
Okay, see, that's a little bit closer now. So this is what I'm looking for. So it is a consequence, and if it's a consequence of my own karma, like the peasant or the boy or the wife or the angry husband, then knowing it's a consequence of past unseen causes, then what do I do with what I've got? Do I complain? No. Excellent. It's an opportunity to look into what I received, to grow, to look, okay, so here's the trigger, here's what I felt, that little pang. Perfect opportunity to receive and say, I'm not away from this order. We speak always about others having bad luck. But when it's my turn, who am I to say it shouldn't happen to me? See this? This is my opportunity to say, I'm not apart from this order. I'm not special here. I'm not some, blessed person. And this puts you in the right place. So everything that happens is not some punishment. Everything that comes your way is not there to hurt you or to make you smile. It's just there presenting itself, going, here is an opportunity to appreciate my presence. Here's an opportunity to refine your responses, to look at your emotions, to respond differently how you have not responded before. Here's an opportunity to look at yourself in this moment in relationship to what has happened and look at what is the first thing upon which you focus. Is it, oh God, the whole thing's falling apart? Or what is the solution? Or where do you go? And how do you respond? What's going on in your mind? That's an opportunity. And what better place to get an opportunity is when life actually tests you. There's no point imagining. The best opportunity is when someone actually gives you a hard time. So thank God, because I thought I knew all this wisdom. I was so comfortable because my life is working so hard. Let's see. The Lord says, let's see. Here's a little test for you. Here's a chance to bring it down and put you back into your place. Okay, I've got more things to work on. Look at this. It's happened and I've been carrying it for 5 days now in my mind. I wasn't expecting that. At least 2 days is okay, but I'm still carrying it 10 days in my head. It's still a trace. Okay, I've got more work to do. It puts you right back in your place. So Ishvara Prasada Buddhi is recognizing everything that happens is not there to punish or give me a hard time. It's just there to show me the work that needs to be done. That's how you have Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, a relatively equanimous mind. Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, Ishvara Prasada Buddhi, now Swadharma. This is the third way. Swadharma in English, you can even say flexibility, recognizing that every moment you need to play a different role with people. And the roles that you play at work cannot be the same roles with the same attitude that you play at your house. It's not possible. It's not going to work. So if I don't have that flexibility and I'm not able to drop and like a chameleon mold to the new situation, what's going to happen? Friction. Friction. And how is that friction recognized? As a response from the other. They let you know. The environment lets you know. So every moment, playing my roles with the people that I'm with the relationships that I have with them and not someone else, I have to do the best that I can according to that role. If I try to take my teacher role into my mom, I'm a teacher, I know everything, right? And I bring that to my mom, that's not going to work. So I have to be what? A little kid to my mom. That's called flexibility. That's called swadharma. A chameleon, you're flexibly changing no matter where or with whom. And that makes you very much present with the situation, responding as the environment is seeking. Flexibility. And the last model that I'll give is converting what we call what binds me down and holds me down, converting those down holders, we call them binding desires, they chain me and they don't allow me to move. Simple example. Let me ask this question. Is there anything wrong with desire? Just one word, desire. Desire. No prejudice in this moment, just desire. See, if you say no, then the question is, then why did you show up? There was a desire to show up, right? Desire for moksha, desire for freedom, desire to improve. So there's nothing right or wrong about desire. It's just a phenomena that we have. It makes us breathe. Every breath is a desire for life. So don't say, I shouldn't have desire. Okay, stop breathing, please. No. You see how we get humbled the moment we straighten our thinking? So desire is okay. Now the Veda mentions something called binding desire. So I said there's nothing wrong with desire. But when you add the adjective binding, now it becomes a problem. What is a binding desire, or otherwise a binding like or dislike? Same words. Because desire is nothing but I have a very strong like for something and a very hard aversion for something else. That's you play mind games. For example, I reject things that are good for me. Someone shows me, certain kind of teaching, and I say, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. I like this. It's like a very quick response. Another thing that a binding desire does is it messes with your priorities. Did you ever have something in your life where you called it a passion? You called it, no, it's my passion. But throughout that doing of that passion of yours, there's in your mind saying, I really need to cook some food, go to shopping, get my closet organized, vacuum the house. I need to call someone up. I need to take a walk. But all that time while the mind's feeling guilty, you still are doing your little passion, your little thing. It's holding you down. It's binding you. So it messes with your priorities. Your priorities are a certain priority, but it says, no. The priority is not important right now. What's important is me. Just focus on me. And one day, entire day has gone. And you go, oh my God, the whole day has gone. And I've just been focusing on my thing. So in other words, it makes other things unimportant. And it can be highly destructive to a person's life. Because it stacks up. And as it stacks up, the person slowly loses interest in all of their other important skills, such as basic exercise, basic study, basic variety in life. Now they lose all variety. Often in sports, we admire sports players like a golf player or a soccer player, and we say, wow, they're so good. They are good. You know why? It's binding. Because I spent all my life, with all the respect to players, all my life, focusing on one single thing. And as I said earlier, but there's no common sense. There's no basic common sense in real life, in situations that are not sports related. So in other words, what a binding desire does is it robs me from variety. And a variety is required for nuances of life. Life is nuances. But binding desire just holds me in one place and says, stay here, please. It's very warm. It's very cozy. That's a binding desire. So what do I have to do? I have to shake up those binding desires and say, no, stop. Put a boundary. I'll give you a personal example. I've been programming since 9 years old, and I love programming. When I sit down on a computer with a blank template, 7 o'clock in the morning, it is now 3 o'clock at night. I haven't eaten anything, only drank water. I don't feel hungry, and I don't want to go to sleep. See, that's a binding desire. I call it passion, but it's a binding desire. Yeah. I promise you, even now. So what I have to do, I have to and it's very hard. I have to deliberately say no. Inside the mind saying, dude, this is not you. Like, really, just get up. No. It's okay. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. Same thing. That's a binding desire. And then slowly, it affects your self-esteem. You go, oh my God, I can't hold my own. I can't hold it. And when you lose that self-esteem, it's even harder now to come out of it. Therefore, be careful not to fall for this sort of just going down deeper and deeper. It can be destructive. What is a non-binding desire? If that's a binding desire, what's a non-binding desire? Just the opposite, isn't it? How do you know it's a non-binding desire? Yeah, you're not disturbed. If something comes along, you're not disturbed. But something disturbs your binding desire, wow, you want to get back to it as soon as possible. You got important things to do. Someone says, no, do this. And while you're doing the activity, what are you thinking about? That thing there. Your mind cannot release itself from that project. That's a binding desire. A non-binding desire is something that you can do. If it's denied, it's okay, I'll do it tomorrow. It just doesn't bother you. You're able to focus on different things. So reducing these binding desires, setting boundaries. So let's put this into practice. You don't have to answer, do you have right now a binding desire that messes with your priorities that you could set a boundary and you could commit to when you go home, saying, when this happens, I will cut down the time that I spend with this? Could you make that decision now, if there is any binding desire? Now, the second part of the verse says, Vastu siddhi vicharena. So the knowledge of the truth is by inquiry alone. This is from the verse. Knowledge for which we are here for is through what? Inquiry alone. So, what is this truth? Vastu, it says Vastu. Vastu here is the truth. So Vastu is Atma, the self. That is to be known. That is to be recognized. How? Through an inquiry. That is our job in this course. So we need to recognize that which you are through an inquiry. Now I'm going to give you, according to this, through truth is by inquiry alone. So now you're going to ask, show me, prove it to me, that truth is by inquiry alone and not through action. Does this make sense? Because we're taught, right? If I want to know something, if I want to get something, then put action into it. But the Veda says, no, it is by inquiry alone, by truth. So the next question is, by a discerning seeker is, a discerning mind is, prove it to me right now through logic. I need to see it for myself. And so the first, it says, the self is actionless. That's the nature of the self. It's actionless. And it's already accomplished. So if it's actionless and already accomplished, then what can an action possibly do? Because what is an action doing? What does an action do? It purifies, it reaches something, it modifies something, and it produces something. Right? So you want to produce, you want to make a house? Action. You want to change a house? Action. You want to clean a house? Action. You want to reach a house? Action. But then the self is actionless. So now what is action possibly going to do to the self? If it's already accomplished, and yet all action is what? For accomplishment. If all action is for accomplishment, and the self is already accomplished, then how is action going to reveal the self if it's already accomplished? If something's already accomplished, what does that mean? It's already here and now. But action is to accomplish something that is not here and now. It's to clean something up that is dirty, but the self is ever pure. Action is to reach something, but the self is right here, right now. Self is to modify something, but the self is without any attributes. So how can you modify something that is formless? You can only modify something that has a form. Like this is a flower. I can now move it. This is a, whatever it is, a remote. I can turn it. I can break it. I can modify it. I can squash it. But how am I going to modify space, for example? Please tell me. How are you going to modify space? You can't. So the self is actionless and already accomplished. If that is the case, action has no bearing on the self whatsoever. Number two, the finite can never reach the infinite. We did this on the board earlier. Every action lasts for a finite amount of time. Every action is limited and done by a limited entity. If that is the case, then how will a limited action plus a limited action plus a limited action ever reach the limitless? Does this make sense? Look at this. You cannot produce infinity using a finite instrument, a finite action. Because what is finite is always finite. What is infinite is always infinite. You cannot put them and compare them. You cannot put them in the same category. You understand? If finite is always finite, no matter what I do, how much I play with this finite, I will never be able to produce something that's infinite. Because infinite means it's already here and now. It's already available in the past, present, and future. So if I'm trying to produce it, it has no bearing on the infinite. I'm just wasting my time. Number 3, action is an effect of ignorance. It only reinforces the problem of smallness. What makes you do every action? Who does an action? Or let me put it this way. Why do you do an action? Do you ever do an action to suffer? No. You always do an action to enjoy. And who is the center of one's life? I am. So if an action is done by I, an action is always done to satisfy me, what does that imply about me? I am not full. Yes. But that is a false fact. That's not true. So every action arises to satisfy me, implying that the me is not full, implying that the me is limited. But that's false. So what does this mean? Every action the action can never cancel out the cause. The cause of an action is ignorance. Because the fact is I am full right now, but I don't know it. That's the truth, but I don't know it. So because I don't know it, I act. Why do I act? To bring fullness onto myself, implying I'm not full. So in other words, every action is an effect. And the effect always traces back to the cause. The effect can never destroy its own cause. So what's action going to do? Action can never destroy the primary error, which is that I am already full here and now. It only reinforces because action is an effect of its cause, which is ignorance.
Why do we have the ability to perform an action?
Yeah, why do we have an ability to perform an action?
If we are already full.
Good. The reason is because you have to use action, ironically, to come to that fullness. You have to take a walk, you have to fly over, you have to use your, right, at the transactional level, you have to use your ears and eat. And by doing that successfully, you finish your journey. That's why moksha is only once. Until moksha, I have to act. I have to do action. I have to do the right listening, and I have to do my sadhana. That's the irony of it. Once moksha is there, no action has no bearing. I've done it. I've finished it. The body, of course, still acts, but I no longer act to discover my truth. The body's always been acting. It was never you to begin with. It was just an instrument given to you. You were never this instrument that was been doing and talking. But the instrument being given, I use it for the right purposes, using Ishvara's feedback, adjusting, making small, fine adjustments to get back on track whenever I get lost. And through that, I find the Guru, and the Guru shows me my real truth. And when that happens, the body still continues acting like it always did, because it was never you to begin with. It was just a fictional character being worn for about 80 years. And all this time I thought, that's me. So the removal of ignorance is recognizing this fictional character called Andre, your name is not me. That's moksha. Until then, I have to act. The body has to be alive. Survive. The body has to survive. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. The body has to survive. That's why it needs to act. At the transactional level, it needs to eat and everything else. And the fourth reason why action cannot solve the problem is because an action, it reinforces a doer. See, again, it goes back to this third example. A doer always does to enjoy. Yeah? To do to enjoy implies that I am incomplete. Otherwise, I wouldn't be seeking to enjoy myself. Because enjoyment is always in the name of removing this condition of a limited I. That's why I want to enjoy myself. Did you notice that? Whenever you enjoy yourself, in that moment, is there any sense of limitation? No. In that moment, I don't miss anything. There's no need for anything else in my life. I am okay. So therefore, we always enjoy only for one purpose alone, because I am not satisfied with the condition that I have attached myself onto, that I've identified with. So now an action reinforces that limited individual. Why? Because it says, I'm acting for satisfaction, therefore I am incomplete. Now, when it comes to action, you have to understand what is the nature of an action. The nature of an action in Sanskrit we call Purusha Tantra. So, suppose you have an ornament, and that ornament chooses to, what can an ornament do? It can polish itself, it can bend itself, it can make a bulge on itself, it can, kind of bend itself and so on. So an ornament can do that much. But anything that the ornament does to itself, does it have any bearing on its substance, the gold? So this means that the ornament, like a ring, can for 25,000 years keep on changing itself, bending itself in a certain shape and form. Will it have any bearing on its truth, on its substance? No. So now suppose that ornament says, I must polish myself to become golden. Because that's what we do. We try to polish our minds to be the self. So the ornament says, I must polish myself to be golden. What is it simultaneously saying? I am not golden. So the irony is, the more action it does to become what it already is, the farther away it gets from what it is. I must polish myself to become golden. And yet I am already golden. So what does this mean? When it comes to action, it is always on the basis of the Purusha. Person can make a choice. I can polish myself, I can bend myself, I can travel, I can do this, I can say that. So when it comes to action, it is always relative to your free will. You decide. You can go to a restaurant right now and you can say, I want paneer toast sandwich. That's what I had. Or I'm going to just dance, or I'm going to go home. Those three choices are entirely based on the Purusha. They're centered on the Purusha. I choose to do this, I choose not to do this, I choose to do this differently. It's that simple. But when it comes to knowing something, then we call that Vastu Tantram. What is Vastu Tantram? Suppose the ring, does the ring have any choice over what it is than to accept what it is? You see this? Does the opinion of the ring of its own truth, does that have any bearing on the ring's truth? Suppose the ring says, I'm metal. Does that have any bearing on the actual truth of the ring? No. Suppose the ring says, I don't like myself. I don't like the self. Does that have any bearing, that opinion, on what it actually is? No. So when it comes to the ring discovering its truth of what it always is, or what it never is other than the gold, it has no choice but to recognize it as it truly is. There's no choice of free will. It can't say, I choose as a ring for me to be metal. That opinion has no bearing. The opinion of the ring about its truth has no bearing on the ring's truth. The ring's actions have no bearing on the ring's truth. So this means the ring's truth, which is the gold, is independent of the ring's opinion about itself and independent of the ring's actions. No matter what the ring does or how it does it, it is always ever the gold. So it has no choice but to recognize what it is already. Therefore, when it comes to knowledge, recognizing the truth, you don't have any say. The only thing is to recognize it as it really is. And where are you going to recognize it as it is? This is what Viveka Chudamani is for. Why haven't I not recognized it so far? Even though it's always true, even though the gold is always true, why has the ring not recognized the gold? Because it had notions. It was imagining. It was so powerful that it just couldn't see the obvious. So like the sun's always there. The clouds are covering it. Or the moon comes over the sun, and then what do? Oh, behind there's a big light bulb behind that moon. You see how we imagine? The moment you cover something, immediately start to imagine. So what do you have to do? You have to recognize it as it truly is. You have no choice about it. And this is what we're going to continue tomorrow. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.